Slide 1. Introduction to Oceans of Change. Understanding SDG 14 Life Below Water. Continuing from the previous days, I Harshit Simha, your host, will discusses the next sustainable goal topic on Oceans of Change. Understanding SDG 14 Life Below Water serves as a critical exploration of one of the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, established in 2015. This introductory framework sets the stage for a comprehensive understanding of SDG 14, which is dedicated to the conservation and sustainable use of our oceans, seas, and marine resources. It establishes the dual focus of this global goal, to protect vulnerable marine ecosystems while simultaneously ensuring that the ocean's vast resources can be utilized responsibly for current and future generations. The introduction outlines the presentation's three-part structure, promising a thorough investigation into the subject. First, it will delve into the fundamental significance of healthy oceans, highlighting their indispensable role in regulating the global climate, supporting biodiversity, and sustaining human life and economies. Second, it will confront the critical challenges currently threatening marine environments on a global scale, from pollution and overfishing to habitat destruction. Finally, and crucially, the presentation will ground this global issue in specific national contexts, examining the unique situations, progress, and obstacles in countries like India as they work to implement the targets of SDG 14. By framing the discussion this way, the introduction positions Oceans of Change as more than just a description of a problem. It is a call to understand the interconnectedness of ocean health with human development and the practical, on-the-ground efforts required to achieve this vital sustainability goal. Slide 2. What is SDG 14, Life Below Water? Sustainable Development Goal 14, SDG 14, Life Below Water is a comprehensive United Nations mandate established to address the critical and deteriorating health of the world's oceans. It serves as a global blueprint for conserving and sustainably using marine resources. The goal is structured around several key pillars, as outlined in the attachment. First, marine conservation focuses on actively protecting and preserving vulnerable marine and coastal ecosystems from further degradation. A second, critical pillar is reducing pollution, which targets the minimization of all kinds of marine debris, with a specific emphasis on plastic waste and damaging nutrient runoff from land-based sources. Furthermore, SDG 14 champions the sustainable use of ocean resources, ensuring that harvesting, particularly of fish stocks, is conducted at scientifically advised levels to prevent depletion and allow for long-term viability. Finally, recognizing that ocean challenges transcend national borders, the goal underscores the necessity of global cooperation. This involves fostering international collaboration on conservation initiatives, sharing scientific knowledge, and implementing legal frameworks. In essence, SDG 14 encompasses a holistic set of targets aimed at reducing marine pollution, protecting ecosystems, mitigating ocean acidification, regulating harvesting, and expanding marine protected areas to secure the health of our planet's vital life support system. Slide 3. Major threats to marine ecosystems. The world's oceans are facing unprecedented and interconnected pressures from human activities, threatening their health and biodiversity. As outlined in the attachment, these major threats are multifaceted and severe. Climate change is a fundamental threat, causing rising ocean temperatures and acidification. Warmer waters trigger catastrophic coral bleaching events, destroying vital habitats that support immense marine life. Pollution continues to degrade marine environments, with approximately 8 million tons of plastic waste entering the oceans annually. This plastic forms massive garbage patches and harms marine life through ingestion and entanglement, compounded by chemical runoff and oil spills. Overfishing represents a direct assault on ocean resources. Unsustainable harvesting practices have led to a critical situation where, according to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, nearly 90% of global fish stocks are fully exploited, overexploited, or depleted. This not only threatens species survival but also the food security and livelihoods of billions who depend on the sea. Finally, habitat destruction from coastal development and destructive fishing methods like bottom trawling physically annihilates critical ecosystems such as mangroves, seagrass beds, and coral reefs. These combined threats create a synergistic crisis, demanding urgent and coordinated global action to mitigate their devastating impact on life below water. Slide 4. The vital importance of oceans. The oceans are far more than a vast expanse of water. They are the planet's life support system. Covering 71% of the Earth's surface, their influence is fundamental to our existence. As the attachment highlights, the ocean is a primary driver of global climate regulation, acting as a massive carbon sink by absorbing approximately 30% of human-produced carbon dioxide, thereby mitigating the worst impacts of climate change. Crucially, the ocean is the planet's lung, generating 50% of the oxygen we breathe, primarily through photosynthetic marine organisms. This alone underscores its indispensable role for all life on Earth. Furthermore, the ocean is an economic and sustenance powerhouse. It provides a primary source of protein for over a billion people and supports the livelihoods of more than 3 billion individuals who depend on marine biodiversity. The annual economic value of these resources and coastal industries is staggering, estimated at $8 trillion. Beyond these measurable statistics, oceans hold profound cultural and recreational value for coastal communities and the global population alike. From a practical standpoint, they facilitate global trade and transportation. In essence, the health of our oceans is inextricably linked to planetary health, global economic stability, and human well-being, making their conservation not just an environmental issue, but a critical imperative for sustainable development. Slide 5. Ocean acidification, the other carbon dioxide problem. Ocean acidification is a critical and direct consequence of rising atmospheric carbon dioxide levels, often termed the other carbon dioxide problem. As the oceans act as a vital carbon sink, they absorb approximately a quarter of the anthropogenic carbon dioxide emitted into the atmosphere. This absorption triggers a chemical reaction that increases the concentration of hydrogen ions in seawater, leading to a decrease in pH, a process known as acidification. Since the Industrial Revolution, the ocean's pH has decreased by 0.1 units, which represents a staggering 30% increase in acidity. This shift in ocean chemistry has a profound biological impact. It reduces the availability of carbonate ions, which are essential building blocks for marine organisms to form their calcium carbonate shells and skeletons. Creatures such as corals, mollusks, oysters, and key plankton species are directly threatened, as their protective structures dissolve or become difficult to maintain. The impacts cascade through entire marine ecosystems, threatening biodiversity, food webs, and the stability of vital habitats like coral reefs. This, in turn, jeopardizes the food security and economic livelihoods of communities dependent on shellfish harvesting and reef-related tourism. Scientific projections are alarming, indicating that if carbon emissions continue unabated, ocean acidity could increase by 150% by the year 2100, posing an existential threat to marine life as we know it. Slide 6. Overfishing, depleting our living ocean resources. Overfishing represents a critical threat to the sustainability of our oceans, depleting fish stocks faster than they can naturally replenish. Driven by industrial-scale fishing operations with massive catch capacities, this practice is pushing marine ecosystems to their limits. The statistics are alarming. As cited from the FAO, the percentage of fish stocks being harvested at biologically unsustainable levels has surged from 10% in 1974 to 34.2% in 2017. This has led to a catastrophic decline in large predatory fish populations, which have fallen by an estimated 90% since the 1950s. The problem is compounded by significant bycatch, where non-target species like dolphins, sea turtles, and seabirds are unintentionally captured and often killed, disrupting marine food webs. Furthermore, illegal, unreported, and unregulated IUU fishing severely undermines conservation efforts, accounting for up to 26 million tons of fish caught annually, with an estimated value of $23 billion. This illicit activity not only devastates marine biodiversity but also poses a direct threat to global food security and the economic livelihoods of millions in coastal communities who depend on fisheries for protein and income. Addressing overfishing is therefore essential to achieving the sustainable use of ocean resources as outlined in SDG 14. Slide 7. Marine Protected Areas, Sanctuaries for Ocean Life. Marine Protected Areas, MPAs, are designated zones of the ocean where human activity is managed and restricted to conserve marine ecosystems and cultural resources. Functioning as vital sanctuaries, they range from fully protected, no-take, reserves, which prohibit all extractive activities, to multiple-use areas that permit sustainable practices. Their primary purpose is to provide refuges where ocean life can recover from exploitation and environmental stressor. The benefits of well-managed MPAs are profound. Scientific research indicates they can increase fish biomass by over 400% and boost species diversity by 21% compared to adjacent unprotected areas. By preserving critical habitats for endangered species, MPAs enhance overall biodiversity. Furthermore, they increase ecosystem resilience to climate change impacts and act as fish nurseries, supporting sustainable fisheries in the surrounding waters and generating economic benefits through ecotourism. Despite their proven effectiveness, global MPA coverage remains insufficient. Currently, only about 7.91% of the world's oceans are designated as MPAs, with a mere 2.7% fully protected from extractive activities. While SDG 14 targets the conservation of at least 10% of coastal and marine areas by 2030, many scientists and conservationists advocate for a more ambitious goal of protecting at least 30% of the global ocean to ensure long-term ecological health and biodiversity. Slide 8. The Global Plastic Crisis. The global plastic crisis represents one of the most pervasive and visible threats to marine ecosystems. With a staggering 380 million tons of plastic produced annually, our capacity to manage the resulting waste is severely overwhelmed. A mere 9% of all plastic waste is recycled globally. This failure in waste management leads to environmental contamination on an epic scale, with approximately 8 million tons of plastic entering the oceans each year. The problem persists for centuries, as plastic takes over 450 years to decompose. In the marine environment, plastic pollution manifests in two primary forms. First, larger plastic debris, such as fishing nets and packaging, maims and kills marine life like turtles, dolphins, and seabirds through entanglement. This waste accumulates in massive oceanic gyres, with the Great Pacific Garbage Patch now covering an estimated 1.6 million square kilometers. Second, plastics break down into microplastics, particles smaller than 5 millimeters, which have infiltrated every ocean basin, including the deepest trenches. These tiny particles are ingested by marine organisms at the base of the food web, leading to bioaccumulation of toxins as they move up the chain, ultimately posing a potential health risk to humans who consume seafood. Slide 9. Global Marine Conservation Leaders. Global marine conservation is being pioneered by nations employing diverse and innovative strategies, as exemplified by Australia, Norway, Palau, and Seychelles. Each offers a unique model for protecting our oceans. Australia demonstrates large-scale, science-based ecosystem management through the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park. This 344,400 square kilometer park operates with varying protection levels, coordinated by the Long-Term Reef 2050 plan, showcasing how to manage a complex, World Heritage ecosystem with multiple stakeholders. Norway stands as a global leader in sustainable fisheries. Its success is built on strict, science-based quota systems that have led to nearly all its fisheries being certified as sustainable by the Marine Stewardship Council, proving that economic interests and ecosystem health can be aligned. In a bold move for biodiversity, Palau, a small island nation, created the Palau National Marine Sanctuary. This initiative designates 80% of its exclusive economic zone, an area of 500,000 square kilometers, as a no-take reserve, establishing one of the largest protected areas on the planet. Finally, Seychelles has pioneered an innovative financial mechanism for conservation. Through a groundbreaking Debt for Nature (SWAP), it secured funding to protect 410,000 square kilometers of its ocean, designating 30% of its waters as marine protected areas in exchange for restructuring its national debt. Together, these nations provide invaluable, scalable lessons in governance, sustainable economics, and ambitious protection for the global community. Slide 10. India's marine environment, a complex seascape. India's marine environment is a vast and complex seascape of immense ecological and socio-economic significance. Its geography encompasses a 7,500 kilometers coastline spanning 9 states, 2 union territories, and 1,382 islands. This extensive shoreline borders a massive maritime zone of approximately 2.37 million square kilometers, an area nearly equivalent to India's land territory, which includes its territorial waters, Exclusive Economic Zone (EEZ), and continental shelf. This vast area supports extraordinary biodiversity, including 3,271 marine fish species, 844 species of marine algae, and 4 major coral reef regions located in the Gulf of Mannar, Lakshadweep, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and the Gulf of Kutch. These ecosystems are the lifeblood for millions of people, supporting a community of approximately 4 million fishers and a large coastal population that depends directly on marine resources for food and livelihood. However, this rich seascape faces mounting pressures. With about 26% of the nation's population residing in coastal areas, the interplay of population growth, rapid coastal urbanization, and industrial expansion is intensifying. This development creates complex challenges for balancing ecological conservation with economic growth, making the sustainable management of India's marine resources a critical national priority. Slide 11. Key marine challenges in India. India's vast marine environment faces a convergence of severe and interconnected challenges that threaten its ecological health and the millions who depend on it. A primary issue is urban pollution, with major coastal cities discharging a staggering 5.5 billion liters of untreated sewage into marine waters daily. Mumbai alone is a significant contributor, releasing about 2,100 million liters per day of partially treated or untreated waste, leading to coastal water degradation and health risks. The critical fisheries management sector, which employs approximately 14.5 million people, is in crisis. Overfishing and destructive practices like bottom trawling have led to declining catch rates, undermining both food security and livelihoods. This scarcity intensifies social conflicts between traditional small-scale fishers and larger industrial fleets. Compounding these issues is severe habitat loss. Nearly 40% of India's vital mangrove forests have been lost to development, aquaculture, and other human activities. These ecosystems are crucial as fish nurseries and as natural barriers protecting coastlines from erosion and storms. Furthermore, climate change exacerbates these pressures, with sea level rise threatening displacement in vulnerable areas like the Sundarbans, and ocean warming causing widespread coral bleaching, with one 2016 event affecting over 60% of corals in some regions. Slide 12. India's policy framework for ocean conservation. India has established a comprehensive, multi-layered policy framework to govern the conservation and sustainable use of its vast marine resources. This framework is built upon a robust legal foundation comprising key legislation such as the Environment Protection Act, 1986, the Coastal Regulation Zone, CRZ, Notification, the Wildlife Protection Act, 1972, and the Biological Diversity Act, 2002. These laws provide the regulatory backbone for protecting coastal ecosystems and marine biodiversity. This foundation is complemented by forward-looking strategic initiatives that aim to balance economic development with ecological security. The Draft Blue Economy Policy, 2021, the Sagarmala Program for Port-led Development, and the National Fisheries Policy represent efforts to integrate conservation into economic planning. An institutional structure, led by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, MoEFCC, and supported by specialized bodies like the National Center for Sustainable Coastal Management, NCSCM, is tasked with implementation. Globally, India's approach is guided by its international commitments as a signatory to major conventions, including the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS, and the Convention on Biological Diversity, CBD. Initiatives like the National Coastal Mission demonstrate an integrated approach to addressing shoreline changes and supporting livelihoods. However, the framework faces significant challenges in implementation, including interagency coordination and limited enforcement capacity, which can hinder its effectiveness on the ground. Slide 13. Innovative approaches to marine conservation. Marine conservation is being transformed by innovative approaches that move beyond traditional regulation towards collaborative, multi-stakeholder governance. These strategies can be broadly categorized into three interconnected areas. First, technology-driven solutions are revolutionizing surveillance and transparency. Satellite tracking, underwater drones, and environmental DNA (EDNA) sampling enable unprecedented monitoring of marine environments and human activities. Platforms like Global Fishing Watch use this data to track vessels and combat illegal fishing, while blockchain technology creates transparent seafood supply chains to verify sustainable sourcing. Second, market-based mechanisms create economic incentives for conservation. Certification programs, such as the Marine Stewardship Council (MSC), label, reward and market sustainably harvested seafood. Payment for ecosystem services (PES) compensates communities for protecting vital habitats. A key development is the rise of blue carbon initiatives, which monetize the immense carbon sequestration capacity of mangroves, seagrasses, and salt marshes, providing a financial rationale for their protection. Third, community-centered conservation empowers local stakeholders. Locally managed marine areas (LMMAs) enable indigenous and coastal communities to apply their traditional knowledge alongside scientific principles to manage their waters. Similarly, rights-based fisheries management grants secure fishing rights, fostering long-term stewardship by giving communities a direct stake in the health of the resources. By aligning ecological health with economic and social objectives, these innovative approaches create more resilient and effective conservation outcomes. Slide 14. Success Stories. India's Marine Conservation Efforts. Amidst significant environmental challenges, India has demonstrated notable successes in marine conservation through integrated, community-driven approaches. These initiatives highlight the effectiveness of combining scientific management with local engagement and traditional knowledge. A flagship example is the Olive Ridley Turtle Conservation Program in Orissa. Through rigorous protection of mass nesting sites, arribadas, patrolling against fishing-related mortality, and community awareness campaigns, this program has successfully safeguarded one of the world's largest nesting aggregations of this endangered species. This long-term effort showcases how targeted action can secure critical life cycles for marine megafauna. Another significant achievement is community-led mangrove restoration in states like Gujarat and Tamil Nadu. These projects have rehabilitated vast areas of degraded coastal ecosystems. By involving local communities in planting and protection, these initiatives not only restore vital habitats that act as fish nurseries and storm buffers but also provide sustainable livelihoods, creating a direct incentive for conservation. Furthermore, India has successfully adapted terrestrial conservation models for the marine environment. The application of joint forest management principles in the Gulf of Mannar Biosphere Reserve is a prime example. Here, fishing communities are actively involved in monitoring and protection activities, fostering a sense of ownership and responsibility. These successes collectively demonstrate that the most resilient and effective conservation outcomes arise from strategies that bridge scientific expertise with community participation and traditional ecological knowledge. Slide 15. Climate change and ocean health, interconnected crises. Climate change and ocean health are inextricably linked in a dualistic relationship of cause and effect. The ocean has acted as a crucial buffer against climate change, absorbing approximately 93% of the excess heat generated by greenhouse gas emissions since the 1970s. However, this service comes at a severe cost to marine ecosystems, manifesting in multiple, interconnected crises. The primary impacts, as detailed in the attachment, include rising temperatures leading to coral bleaching and species migration, ocean acidification dissolving the shells of vital organisms like corals and shellfish, sea level rise causing coastal erosion and habitat loss, and changing weather patterns that intensify storms and disrupt marine currents. These changes have direct human consequences, including the collapse of fisheries, loss of tourism revenue, population displacement from coastal areas, and damage to critical infrastructure. Crucially, this relationship also presents a powerful opportunity for integrated solutions. The very marine ecosystems most threatened by climate change, such as mangroves, seagrass beds, and salt marshes, are also among our most effective natural allies. These blue carbon ecosystems sequester carbon at rates up to 5 times greater than tropical forests. Therefore, protecting and restoring them represents a vital nature-based solution that simultaneously advances climate mitigation, enhances coastal adaptation, and achieves marine conservation goals, creating a synergistic approach to addressing these intertwined crises. Slide 16. Economic value of healthy oceans. The economic value of healthy oceans is immense, underpinning global commerce, food security, and numerous industries, while also providing indispensable ecosystem services. The direct economic outputs are staggering. The fisheries and aquaculture sector alone produces 96.4 million tons of catch valued at $151 billion annually, employing over 39 million people directly and supporting 156 million in the wider seafood industry. Marine and coastal tourism is a powerhouse, generating over $390 billion each year, with coral reefs alone contributing $36 billion. Furthermore, the ocean is the backbone of global trade and transport, with 90% of goods transported by sea, facilitating $14 trillion in commerce. Emerging sectors like marine biotechnology show great promise, with the current market for marine-derived pharmaceuticals estimated at $4.8 billion. Beyond these market values, oceans provide ecosystem services, such as carbon sequestration, coastal protection from storms, and waste processing, collectively worth trillions of dollars annually. The overall ocean economy is projected to grow to $3 trillion by 2030. Critically, this entire economic edifice depends on ocean health. Threats like ocean acidification already endanger shellfish industries worth over $6 billion. Conversely, conservation is a sound investment. Marine protected areas, MPAs, demonstrate benefit-to-cost ratios between 3:1 and 20:1, proving that protecting marine health is fundamental to sustaining and growing the blue economy. Slide 17. Sustainable Blue Economy, Balancing Use and Conservation. The sustainable blue economy represents a transformative paradigm for ocean governance, aiming to reconcile economic development with the imperative of marine conservation. It is defined as an economic model that promotes growth, social inclusion, and improved livelihoods while ensuring the long-term environmental sustainability of oceans and coastal areas. Crucially, it moves beyond traditional, short-term extractive approaches by recognizing the ocean as a vital capital asset. Maintaining the health of this asset is foundational, as it yields sustainable interest in the form of fisheries, tourism, and other ecosystem services. This model is guided by key principles that ensure its integrity. These include science-based decision-making, the use of renewable resources within their regenerative capacity, circular material flows to minimize waste, and inclusive governance with stakeholder participation. It also prioritizes fair wealth distribution, poverty reduction, and climate change mitigation and adaptation. Globally, this concept is being integrated into national development strategies. The European Union's Blue Growth Strategy and the African Union's 2050 Africa's Integrated Maritime Strategy are prominent regional examples. Furthermore, small island developing states, SIDS, like Seychelles and Grenada have positioned themselves as large ocean states, placing the blue economy at the very center of their national development plans, demonstrating its universal relevance for balancing use and conservation. Slide 18, SDG 14 Implementation Challenges. The implementation of Sustainable Development Goal 14, Life Below Water, faces profound and interconnected challenges that hinder global progress. These obstacles can be categorized into three major areas: knowledge gaps, governance complexities, and severe financing constraints. Significant knowledge and capacity gaps persist, particularly in developing nations. Ocean science is critically underfunded, receiving a mere 0.04% to 0.07% of global research and development expenditure. This results in a lack of essential data for informed decision-making and limits the technical capacity for effective regulation and enforcement. Governance challenges are amplified by the ocean's geography. Nearly 60% of the ocean lies in international waters beyond national jurisdiction, creating a legal and management labyrinth. Coordination is further complicated by the fact that over 20 UN agencies have overlapping ocean mandates, leading to fragmented efforts and inconsistent regional cooperation. Most critically, financing constraints are a major barrier. SDG 14 is among the least funded goals, with a minuscule 0.01% of all SDG-related development finance specifically targeting ocean sustainability. Private investment remains limited due to perceived risks, and innovative financing mechanisms are still nascent. These challenges are compounded by the fact that the benefits of marine conservation are often global and long-term, while the costs are local and immediate, creating a persistent mismatch in incentives for action. Slide 19. Future Directions for Marine Conservation. The future of marine conservation is evolving towards more holistic, inclusive, and robustly supported approaches to address the complex challenges facing our oceans. A key shift is towards integrated ocean management, which moves beyond managing single sectors in isolation. This involves using marine spatial planning to holistically govern ocean spaces, balancing diverse uses with conservation through ecosystem-based frameworks that account for cumulative impacts and ecological connections. Inclusive approaches are also gaining critical recognition. This entails formally acknowledging the rights and invaluable traditional knowledge of indigenous and local communities. Co-management models, which share authority between governments and communities, are proving more effective and equitable. Furthermore, the integration of gender considerations ensures that conservation planning benefits all members of society. On a global scale, strengthened international governance is materializing. The landmark UN High Seas Treaty, BBNJ Agreement, provides a legal framework for protecting biodiversity in international waters, while regional bodies are being enhanced to manage transboundary issues. Concurrently, sustainable financing is being unlocked through innovative mechanisms like blue bonds, impact investment, and payment for ecosystem services, which leverage public and private capital. These efforts are underpinned by the UN Decade of Ocean Science, 2021 to 2030, which aims to generate the scientific knowledge needed to accelerate progress toward SDG 14. Slide 20. Key takeaways: navigating towards sustainable oceans. The journey towards sustainable oceans, as guided by SDG 14, is defined by several critical imperatives that synthesize the challenges and solutions discussed throughout this presentation. The foundational takeaway is to recognize ocean value in its entirety, acknowledging that healthy marine ecosystems are non-negotiable for planetary health, climate regulation, economic prosperity, and human well-being. Achieving this requires a concerted effort to balance interests. Sustainable development is not a choice between economy and ecology but a necessity to reconcile economic, social, and environmental objectives within the ocean space. This complex task demands that we embrace innovation, leveraging new technologies for monitoring, novel financing mechanisms like blue bonds, and adaptive governance models to create effective and scalable solutions. Ultimately, success is contingent on our ability to foster collaboration. The transboundary nature of the ocean means that solutions must be co-created through cooperation across all sectors, scientific disciplines, and national borders. While the challenges, from pollution to overfishing, are daunting, the progress made by various nations proves that positive change is achievable. For India and the world, the path forward lies in integrated strategies that make ocean health a central priority in all policy, investment, and individual decisions to ensure these vital ecosystems endure for future generations. This brings end to our presentation. As we move forward, we shall begin exploring Sustainable Development Goals, i.e., SDG 15, life on land, protecting Earth's terrestrial ecosystems. We encourage you to stay connected with our channel for the upcoming session, and to share this content with fellow professionals who share their passion for sustainable development with our channel. Until then, I wish you all about their professional journey filled with excitement, challenges and sustainable prosperity.